So today we're looking at a concept, very small concept, which we call it adjusted work. Okay, adjusted work or project specific cost of capital or diversification work, whichever name. Okay, or some people call it beta factor. Actually, I don't know any of this name. Beta factor, we are referring to the same thing actually. And you see any of these the names above. Beta factor. Okay. Beta factor. So okay, are we on the same page? Let's confirm that we can hear me and see my screen as well.
Yes, we can hear you.
Can hear you and
I can hear you and I can see your screen
better.
I can hear you and I can see your screen.
Okay, so anytime I'm about to lecture this topic,
We can hear you.
yeah, something normally comes to my mind, like a kind of reminder. I could remember during my own ICANN days, apart from my normal class. So I got to know about one other class then, like a kind of, should we call it private class or something? Then I was having actually. So when I joined the class, this was the first topic we were being taught. And I got to have the understanding from there, not class. So I got to discover or to know that I was just writing notes in class, not the understanding of the concept. Actually, not that the lecturer is not competent, or maybe he doesn't know how to lecture it. In short, in fact, the person that explained to us during that private class was one student of the lecturer that lectured it in class. Okay. Beta factor is very simple. I know if I tell you something is simple, just take it. It's simple. Because myself, I'm just an, let me say, I'm a below average student. Or, yeah, let me say student. We are all students one way or the other. Sorry. So, today we are going to be looking at beta factor. Okay. So, as I said earlier on, if you see anybody saying adjusted work or project specific cost of capital or beta factor or diversification work or cost of capital, we are actually saying the same thing. Okay. So most center these topics comes immediately after cost of capital, after work. Why? Because the fact that you've learned all the concepts, all you need to know on that work, doesn't mean in exam more examiner must give you work. But let me say over 70% of time, they normally combine work and adjusted work together in a question. Okay, so that being said, let's look at the meaning. Meaning of work, of adjusted work. Meaning of let's pick beta factor of beta factor. Beta factor. Don't mix it up. Beta factor, when you are doing adjusted work, you need beta factor. So that's why most textbooks, they use them interchangeably as be it adjusted work or beta factor. So beta factor is actually a symbol that represents the systematic risk facing a security in the market. So beta factor represent systematic risk if you know your background is noisy, can you do all the paper by muting yourself? Hello everyone, I think you can all hear me. As this is not our first class, even though you are just joining for the first time, I didn't expect this Zoom should be your first Zoom you ever joined. So, and all of us here, we are adults. If your background is noisy or you want to have side talk, please can we just mute ourselves so that it won't affect the lecture, please. Thank you all. Okay. Mr. Omar, yes, you have the floor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Can you mute us all?
I've done
I
that.
think you can mute everybody, sir. Okay, thank you.
But you don't have to allow you guys to unmute yourself, to be able to unmute yourself, so that in case you have a contribution or responses, instead of going back to settings up and down. But I think what we can just all do is to mute ourselves if our background is noisy. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So as I said earlier on, beta factor represents the systematic risk facing a security. Okay. When you say security, we're referring to be it shares, okay, bond, assets, etc. Okay. So it's just a factor which represents the systematic risk facing a security in the market. Okay, let me just explain this. We have systematic risk and we have unsystematic risk. Systematic risk is a risk whereby as far as you are into a business, you are going to face that risk. You can't avoid it. We call it unavoidable risk. But and we refer it as a beta factor. Okay. Let me put the symbol here. This is a symbol for beta. Okay, that factor. Then the second one is the unsystematic risk. We call it affordable risk. We call it alpha risk. Okay, or they call it alpha factor. So that one is the risk that you can avoid. So it's not systematic in nature. You can avoid it by not doing some business or based on the mode of financing and the likes. Okay, so you can also say that beta factor actually shows how a security will respond to change in its local market. Okay, or let's say beta factor compares the risk of a security to that of the market. Okay, so let's say beta factor compares the risk of a security to that of the market. Okay, so market risk, or let's say market market systematic risk is 1. Okay, let's have it at the back of our mind. But out of the security, which is beta factor, security, systematic risk facing a security, that is beta factor. We also have market systematic risk. Okay, market systematic is always one. Then our beta could be either of these three. Either our beta factor is equals to 1, or our beta factor is greater than 1, or our beta factor is less than 1. Okay. So if our beta is equals to 1, what does that mean? So it means it equals to the market systematic risk. Okay, what does that mean? It means that our beta is moving at the same pace with that of the market, same pace, and we say this type of beta is normal beta. Okay, but if our beta is greater than 1, so we say faster, the beta is faster than the market, faster than the market. So what does that mean? It means not at the same pace, but now faster. And the beginning is that our beta is aggressive. Okay. Then the third category is when our beta is lower. So we say it's lower here, lower than the market. Okay. So what's the implication? It's not faster now, but it's lower. And it means the beta, this kind of beta is conservative. Okay. Okay. So let's look at the formula for beta. Beta itself is equals to, as the definition implies, change in security divided by change in market. Okay. So change in security is equals to covariance between security and market while change in market is actually the variance of the market. Okay. Which means our beta is equals to covariance between security and market over variance of the market. Okay. We can expand this and say this equals to correlation between the standard deviation between security and markets multiplied by standard deviation of security times standard deviation of market over standard deviation of market times standard deviation of market. Why some people will now say this is correlation between security and market times standard deviation of security over standard deviation of market. Okay. This better formula, you make use of them more under your CAPM and portfolio theory. Okay. But for adjusted work, these are the things you need to know. Let me first say situation where adjusted work or beta factor will be relevant. Okay. So the first question is that where work assumptions is altered. Okay. Are we together, please? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Where work assumption is altered. The first thing is that if we say work assumption is altered, probably there is a change in business risk or change in financial risk being faced by the company, or there is a change in the capital structure of an organization. Okay. When we say change in business risk, what we mean is that business risk simply means the risk a company will face based on the fact that you are in a particular line of business. Okay. So if you are into agriculture, the kind of risk business you are going to be facing is not the same thing with when you are in transportation, or when you are in the education sector, or when you are in manufacturing industry. Different industry has its own different business risk. Okay. So when in a question you observe that probably a company is doing one line of business and they want to change, probably they want to add to their recent line of business, or they want to change what they have been doing, going to another industry, no doubt that question, there is adjusted work, which we call beta factor there. Are we on the same page? Or when a company plans to alter its capital structure, okay, there is a beta factor there, or adjusted work. Please, do you understand this concept before we proceed? Because most of the time, you will see examiner telling you to just do project specific cost of capital. They won't tell you to do beta factor. They won't tell you, if you are lucky, examiner will ask you to do adjusted work. Alaji, okay, you're done with it. Okay, now. No problem, sir. Sorry, a colleague came to drop something for me. Yeah, please. Okay. So, very important, you must understand when to use adjusted work or beta factor, which we call project specific capital. So the bulk of it is actually when your work assumption has been altered, or, and I said for you to know probably any of these three, either there is change in the business risk, or change in financial risk, or there is change in capital structure, or when a company plans to diversify. Okay, when a company plans to what? To diversify, which means probably you want to change your line of business. Okay, so financial risk simply means probably you have no debt initially, you now plans to introduce debt to your capital structure. It means the recent cost of capital will not be relevant again. You need to get what we call adjusted WACC. And for you to do that, you need knowledge of beta factor. Okay. But when I say change in the capital structure, probably initially your debt to equity ratio is maybe 60/40, but you now plan to change it to 70/30. So because of this, there is a need for us to do adjusted work, which we call a beta factor. Okay. Any questions so far before we proceed to the types of beta factor? Please, very important. This aspect, situation where you need to do this is very important. Okay. Any question before we move to types of beta factor? Okay,
No, sir.
Mr. Omar.
Yes, sir. I don't know, sir. Last night I learned something about the gearing, regrinding. Are you heading to there, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
But there's no cause for alarm. You understand this? It's very simple. Okay. So on J, the J, all those grammar, I beg, all those things are scam. But I don't want to say they are scam. Let me just explain this thing, then you understand what I'm saying. Okay.
Okay, sir.
The first one among the types of beta, I'm trying to limit what you are learning here to what you need for beta factor or adjusted work. The first formulas we have under this one at the beginning of the what's it called today's class, you use them most in CPR and portfolio theory, not here. But the ones you need to learn here, you will see them now. Okay, so we have what we call, the first one is beta assets, or some textbook they call it asset beta. We're saying the same thing. Asset beta. Okay, and we do represent it as BA. BA. Okay, so asset beta, this is type of beta that only measure the business risk facing a company. It has no business with financial risk. It measures only business risk. Okay, so this is a beta factor that measures business risk only. Business risk only. So when I say beta asset, I'm saying business risk. Okay, so let's look at the formula. It is calculated as beta assets. You can use capital letter, I use small letter, I'm saying the same thing, is equals to beta equity, I love using small letter, multiplied by value of equity over value of equity plus value of debt net of tax plus beta debt multiplied by value of debt net of tax over value of equity plus value of debt net of tax. Okay, so this guy is the beta asset. Beta assets. Our guy here is beta equity. Okay. You are used to these two guys. This is value of equity. Value. It's actually market value. Market value of equity. And this guy is market value of debt, where this guy is beta debt, and this T here is actually tax rate. Okay, I hope you are good with this. Don't forget, beta assets only measures business risk. Okay, then we have the second type of beta factor, which is the beta equity, or what we call equity beta. Okay, so this equity beta measures both business risk and financial risk. Okay, so this is a beta factor that measures both business and financial risk. Okay, and it is calculated as beta equity. You can see BE small letter or BE capital letter for the E is equals to beta assets plus bracket open beta asset minus beta debt multiplied by value of debt 1 minus T all over value of equity. So once again, this is beta equity or equity beta. Our guy is the beta asset or asset beta. Our guy is a beta debt. Okay. Our guy here is market value of debt, while our guy here is market value of equity. Okay. Our brother here is the tax rate. Okay. So let's move to the third one, which is the beta debt. Okay. Beta debt or debt beta. Okay, I'm calling it beta. Some people used to call it beta. So whichever name, if it is beta or beta, it's the same thing you're saying. Okay, so this guy we're playing as BD or BD, whichever one. So this is a beta factor that measures the systematic risk of debt actually. This is a beta factor that measures the systematic risk of debt. Okay.